Hey, so I don't mean to get too political or anything, but I hope you're PC. Yeah, that's right. Pallet Conservative. And you know what? I might whoop your ass if I catch you wasting any pallets. Thanks there, Dwight. I'll take over from here if you don't mind. I think what he means to say is that being PC is the key to winning games, which of course stands for Pallet Conservative. Pallets are a precious, limited resource, and the strongest tool a survivor can use to escape the killer. Therefore, you don't want to waste or use them recklessly, right? If you waste too many pallets early, it can lead to shortened chases at the end of the game, and that's when you need them the most. Many times, you can win chases by a pallet simply being there. Killers are going to treat the chase more defensively. Today, I'll point out the best and worst times to drop our special racks of wood. So first and foremost, you want a pallet to be the ultimate getaway tool. Not a minor inconvenience where the killer doesn't even need to break it to continue the chase because it doesn't even break the line of sight. The first common error is dropping a pallet right after getting hit. This wastes both your speed boost and the pallet. When the boost should help create distance between yourself and the killer, it's counterintuitive to slow yourself down. The same logic applies to immediately vaulting after getting hit. So generally speaking, you don't want to use a pallet if it only buys you like 10 to 15 seconds of time, especially if you're early in the game. It's tempting and very satisfying to stun the killer. Easy blood points, am I right? But don't lose focus that the object of escaping is moving away from the killer, so standing still at a pallet is obviously not helping. In this clip, Meg stuns me initially, but ends up using 2 pallets in about 10 seconds. The killer has the advantage in this scenario, and if you're gonna get caught anyways, I just recommend taking the hook and preserve the pallet for later. So number 3 is using the God pallet carefully. The killer shack is one of the best and easiest ways to loop a killer, so the pallet here is particularly valuable, hence the nickname. The killer shack has a number of outs. There's a vault. You can break line of sight around all the corners, and of course, the pallet's there if you need it. You can buy a lot of time here, so try to use this pallet wisely, especially if the killer shack is next to an exit gate. It can make a big difference if you show a little restraint and save it for the end of the game. Here is my final pallet conservation tip. Be aware when the killer is protecting or patrolling generators. If you're in a chase, instead of dropping the nearest pallet, be PC and run across the map towards completed generators. If he's protecting gens, he's not going to follow you, especially if there is significant repair progress. So, try to make a mental note of where finished generators are, because, playing killer is all about time management, and even if they chase you, you're offering a good distraction for your teammates. So, Peter, you think you're ready to drop pallets? Fuck this. Alright, I'll just show you some examples of when I think is a good time to use pallets. Basically, the short of it is the end game. So this clip is a really good example of an endgame pallet use, saving me and David King there. So the gens are done, I make a save, killer's after me. I drop a pallet to buy his time. If that wasn't there, that'd be a very easy down for Leatherface. So he switches target, we both escape, thanks to the pallet. So this clip is actually pretty painful, but therefore a good example. So I get hit on Kate here, and she ran through a pallet. She's saving it. It's the end game, so there's one gen left. I'm gonna get her here, but I get owned by Dead Hard. Drops the pallet. See, she's breaking line of sight. If I kick the pallet, she'll go off in another direction, so I try to get her to try to fake her out so she slides across. She's not having it. Final gen gets done. She has adrenaline. I can't find her. She's on the other side of the wall. I only get glimpses of her. Hope that she slides across the pallet, but I can't get her to bite. I break the pallet. Now where is she? No idea. I got owned. So that late game pallet with adrenaline, hugely powerful. Before I show you another good pallet, here's a bad one. So killer saw what I was doing It was very readable, fakes me out, gets me pretty easily. There was 5 gens remaining. I didn't feel good about this one. Just as in the last clip, I was very predictable. Killers can also be predictable. So I think it's fine to drop a pallet if the killer's lunging. Right here, it's very slow, very predictable. I was looking at him, I could see he was in mid-lunge, and honestly that seems like a fine application to use a pallet. But yeah, keep tabs on the killer you're facing. The Huntress is probably not going to lunge at you. So speaking of the Huntress, if you know the killer, wasted pallet, if you know the killer's not going to lunge through the pallet, use it to your advantage. So here I can tell she's winding up, she expects me to drop the pallet, so I just tag her along. Most survivors will drop the pallet. Here she swings through. I opted not to go for the easy points, even though I could tell she was lunging. Yeah, it's just reading your killer's playstyle, and she saw someone else, downs him in a couple seconds. So yeah, I just continue the loop, and I really don't need to touch the pallet. She gets me there, which is alright, and takes off. Decided it's not worth it. So really, you can win chases, is what I'm saying, without touching the pallets. So, by now you've probably put together that I feel strongly about saving pallets for when you need them the most. But a good time to use them, just generally speaking, is when you're playing well. If you're having a good game, using pallets is not a big deal. Like if your chases are going on for a couple minutes, you know what? Spend the pallets. There's a gen getting done right now. Buying time gives your teammates the opportunity to complete the object of the game. My bad about this, I'm waiting at the pallet. So right now in this game, there's someone on the hook, a gen got done, and there's one remaining. So, in theory, if you're buying enough time for the other teammate to complete the rescue, and then hopefully those other 2 survivors complete the last gen, the trade-off of spending pallets for those to get, looked after is pretty good. Like, you're laughing. So right now I can tell that the Leatherface is probably not going to give up on me, so that's another just kind of incentive to read, when to spend pallets and try to extend this chase for as long as possible. So there's that lunge again. You can tell it's slow when they're holding down M1. So I forced him to break it. He didn't want to continue the loop. That's fine. So you can tell this is an old version of Dead by Daylight because my sprint burst replenished. He walked into that one. So here I decided to go into the house to break line of sight. You want to try to manage the killer's bloodlust. If they always have eyes on you, they can get pretty fast, pretty quick. There it is. So we bought enough time for a hook rescue and 2 gens to get done. That is pretty good use of pallets, I'd say. So hopefully we learned a valuable lesson about preserving them pallets, or more so that Joe from Family Guy really does not match Dwight. Anyway.